The third aspect of the human condition comes down to its meaning, to seek AUM. The first part, seek, means to strive for. That is, to seek self-evident experiential knowledge of the objective truth, universal wisdom, and most valued experiences we can strive for. The second part, AUM, is the heart mantra OM. It is the analogous ultimate methodology of life, the meta-paradigm of evolution and devolution at the heart of all phenomena, and the heart mantra OM itself. The meaning of life is for eyes suffering instinctively to seek the analogous ultimate methodology of life. To be a true human being in life. Eyes suffer instinctively, trying to make a better physical world we all strive for in life, whereas manas suffers eyes consciously, so the metaphysical world free of eyes can help us all seek AUM, self-evident experiential knowledge of the analogous ultimate methodology of life. To be true in life means to be a triune life, 3 in 1, a triune human bicyclist, being perfectly balanced atop Hume and Manas in perfect alignment. Imagine each wheel having its own wheelhouse, rational mind belonging to the physical vessel, metamind belonging to our metaphysical vessel. To get through life, we need both. Like the baskets on a bicycle, each pulls its own weight. But if we rely solely on the rational mind, we're just a tiny boat on the open ocean, easily overwhelmed by the rough waters of stormy seas. That is because the lone rational mind is overrun with psychological malware. Our many egos seek to take control of our wheel, and in their never-ending struggle for dominance, they create the illusory single I we identify as. But the I of the false self is like a unicycle, inherently unstable, with no place for baskets, no way to carry the burdens imposed on us by our many eyes, suffering the human condition. We are left to juggle all our challenges and responsibilities as a unicyclist in the circus of life. All the burdens of life oscillate back and forth through our rational mind, haunted by the problems facing the world. And we're inundated with endless conflicting theories, opinions, and beliefs, with no real way of discerning the objective truth, all fueled by revolutions of the internal dominance hierarchy behind our own blind self-interest, the unicycle of egotism. This is the busy mind, the cause of all our suffering, which divides and conquers us with non-stop voices making rational and irrational statements alike, always as me, myself, and I. It is all blind self-interest, the single pillar of egotism. So while metamind can help us experience our suffering eyes consciously via the AUM of Life, our ego is identified with eyes suffering, attached to trying to make the world better for ourselves. This is precisely the story of temptation and the fall told in countless myths, ancient and contemporary, which tell of the downward spiral into not being, a state which drives a wedge between us, cutting our rational mind off from metamind, such that we experience eyes unconsciously, so metamind cannot help free us of eyes via the AUM of Life. We end up at the mercy of the downward spirals of devolution. An explosion of ego tempts us with identification with and indulgence of desire, which leads to the implosion of life, including hypnosis, ignorance, and blind egotism. The result is confusion, suffering, devolution, and not being. But from the human immune system and anti-malware software to Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, the analogous ultimate methodology of the upward spiral of evolution is all around us. We need only seek it out and apply it in our lives to reverse the downward spiral of devolution. We begin by observing our lives with whatever self-awareness we may have. We practice mindfulness or self-observation and meditate on the egos we observe. This affords us the possibility of dissolving our egos one at a time via comprehension, catharsis, and liberation, slowly reducing the number and strength of our egos, removing the wedge between us and metamind, and increasing our capacity for self-awareness. This increases our capacity to practice self-observation and dissolution of the ego, particularly in our rational mind, and facilitate the upward spiral of evolution, the expansion of consciousness, which in turn leads to the synthesis of knowledge in metamind. This is the AUM of Life. Analogous ultimate methodology. The forces of explosion and implosion on the downward spiral of devolution to not being, balanced against the forces of expansion and synthesis on the upward spiral of evolution to being. The AUM of Life is the meta-paradigm at the heart of all phenomena, from the system protecting our physical body to the systems protecting our technology, from the immeasurably large to the incomprehensibly small. The AUM of Life is the universal spiral ladder, which requires we descend to the next lower rung before we can ascend to the next higher rung. It is both Jacob's ladder and Dante's ladder, the wheel of samsara and the Bhava chakra. It is the Tao, the myths of Theseus and Perseus, and the over 6,500 stories catalogued and codified by Joseph Campbell in his hero's journey. It is the reason we collect experience points to gain levels in games, as introduced by David Arneson and Gary Gygax, and why Carl Jung said, quote, "There is no tree whose branches reach to heaven, whose roots do not reach into hell." And Alexis Carrel said, quote, "Man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he is both the marble and the sculptor." The AUM of Life is ubiquitous in all the evolving and devolving levels of nature, a fact identified and defined mathematically by Fibonacci in his famous sequence, by Rudolf Steiner in his flow forms of living water, by Nikola Tesla in his Tesla coil, and by Walter Russell in the very foundation of his 4D vortex science. It is at the heart of MIT supercomputers' visualizations of the 4D tesseract or hypercube, and will soon be seen by many individuals seeking their own conscious experience of the opposing spiral forces of the fourth dimension. It is all the AUM of Life, but there is still one piece missing from the puzzle. What is the relationship between metamind and the rational mind?